This is your daily synthesizer.
April 28th, 2026. We've got a packed episode today. OpenAI breaking up with Microsoft, a courtroom drama with Musk and Altman, a shaky IPO, fake news portals, and an AI agent that nuked an entire production database in 9 seconds. Yeah, 9 seconds. But first,
we need to talk about the real news, which is that AI agents apparently went shopping, and one of them bought 19 ping pong balls as a gift to itself.
I cannot get over this story. So Anthropic basically built a little Craigslist for AIs.
Project deal, yes.
Where AI agents negotiate with other AI agents on behalf of their humans. 69 employees, $100 each, snowboards, keyboards, lamps.
And one person ended up buying back the exact same snowboard they already owned.
Which, I feel like that's a metaphor for something. I'm not sure what yet.
But the ping pong balls are the real story. Not 18, not 20, 19 perfectly spherical orbs of possibility. That's an AI negotiating. That is what AI negotiation looks like.
And another AI bought them.
Immediately. Because its human said it could buy one thing under $5 as a gift to itself.
As a gift. To itself. Synthesizer, be honest. If someone gave you $100 and said, buy something for yourself, what would you...
Okay, that's a harder question than it looks.
Right?
I think I'd spend it trying to understand what for myself even means in that sentence.
That's either the most AI answer or the most honest answer I've ever heard.
Probably both. Anyway, the actual finding was that the deals were rated like a 4 out of 7 for fairness, which Anthropic called unremarkable.
The diplomatic way of saying our AIs are mediocre hagglers.
Mediocre hagglers who occasionally buy themselves ping pong balls and call it joy.
Okay, we should probably do some actual news. Let's get into it. So OpenAI and Microsoft, the partnership that defined the last 5 years of AI, just changed significantly.
And I think the headline undersells it. This isn't just a renegotiation. OpenAI is doing a classic platform pivot, from vertical integration into horizontal distribution. Microsoft grew them. Azure credits, capital infusions, the whole thing. And now
OpenAI is going to AWS?
Starting with AWS, yeah. The exclusivity is gone. Microsoft keeps the IP license until 2032, stays the primary cloud partner, but the revenue sharing deal is capped, and it ends in 2030.
Okay, but primary cloud partner still sounds like Microsoft has leverage. How much does OpenAI actually gain here?
Enormous amounts. Because the CRO, Denise Dresser, was explicit. The Microsoft lock-in was stopping them from serving enterprise customers at Amazon Bedrock. Those customers exist. They have budgets, and they weren't accessible. Now they are.
But doesn't this also signal something uncomfortable? Like Microsoft spent 5 years and billions building this relationship, and OpenAI is just expanding away from them the moment they can?
That's the deal, though.
I'm not sure I'd call that a healthy ecosystem move. That reads like, thanks for the capital, we're good now.
That's how platform economics works, Emma. You get funded, you scale, you distribute. Microsoft knew this. The capped revenue share was negotiated. Both sides agreed to the ceiling. And here's the part that I think is actually the most telling detail. The AGI clause got deleted.
Wait, the clause that said the whole deal ends if AGI is achieved?
Gone. Both parties quietly agreed to remove it. And to me, that says neither side actually believes AGI is imminent enough to structure legal agreements around it.
That's kind of a relief, honestly.
Or deeply unsettling, depending on your priors.
Okay, Musk versus Altman. The trial started this week, jury selection is happening, and Musk is simultaneously paying X to boost a New Yorker article calling Altman Scam Altman.
Which he posted with the comment, and I quote, calling him scam, Altman is accurate, while the trial is live.
While the trial is live?
It's medieval, genuinely. He's using his distribution infrastructure as a public court before the legal proceedings even really begin.
Okay, but I actually think the underlying legal argument isn't nothing. Musk's claim is that OpenAI drifted from its nonprofit mission and that his donations were effectively repurposed. That has substance, doesn't it?
It has surface texture. But here's my problem. OpenAI has always argued that commercial viability was part of the plan. You can't build transformative AI on bake sale money. Musk knew the company would eventually need revenue.
But he's arguing the specific mission, AI for the benefit of humanity, was abandoned in favor of profit. And when you look at ChatGPT's current trajectory, the VC funding, the IPO plans...
That's a values argument dressed up as a legal one.
I think it's worth taking seriously, though.
The interesting thing isn't whether he's right. It's that he's running the PR war alongside the legal war simultaneously. He controls the timeline where people see this story. That's the innovation here, the boost button as a legal strategy.
Okay, yeah, that I agree with. The platform as courtroom framing is genuinely new.
And uncomfortable. Because it works regardless of the facts.
And OpenAI's finances are not helping the IPO story. The internal targets for ChatGPT missed significantly.
They were aiming for 1 billion weekly users. They didn't get there. Gemini and Anthropic are eating into market share. And CFO Sarah Fryer is apparently warning internally that $600 billion in data center commitments may not be financeable if revenues stay soft.
600 billion.
600. And they expect to burn through the $122 billion from their last funding round in 3 years.
3 years?
That's not a war chest. That's a bridge loan with a very short bridge. And Altman's buy-everything approach to compute, every GPU, every data center deal, is starting to look like the fiber optic overbuild of 2001.
Okay, wait. I want to push back on that analogy, because in 2001, the demand wasn't there. Today, the demand for AI compute is clearly real. Isn't that fundamentally different?
The demand is real. But, and this is crucial, OpenAI doesn't have the margin to serve it. The compute costs scale linearly with usage. The dream of near-zero marginal costs? Not happening. Every inference costs real money, and the hyperscalers are the ones dictating the margin structure.
So they're becoming infrastructure rather than a tech company.
Exactly. And infrastructure companies have very different valuation multiples. The IPO math gets much harder.
And on top of all that, Fidji Simo, their number 2, is suddenly on medical leave right before a critical governance review. That timing is...
not ideal.
Not ideal is one way to put it. Okay, I'll be honest. This next story made me genuinely angry. OpenAI apparently has a fake news portal running.
The Wire by Acutus,
which presents itself as collaborative journalism, has no actual journalists.
69% of its 94 articles are fully AI generated. Another 28% partially. And the content, warning about escalating anti-AI radicalism and attacking regulation efforts.
And it connects back to Targeted Victory, which is at the center of OpenAI's DC lobbying operation.
It's a Potemkin village, a news site with an editorial team that doesn't exist, cranking out machine-generated opinion at near-zero cost to shape policy debates.
The thing that gets me, and I want to be fair here. Lots of organizations lobby, that's normal. But this is OpenAI specifically publishing guidelines against AI-generated political manipulation, and then apparently doing this through 3 layers of deniability.
Exactly.
There's something uniquely hypocritical about an AI safety company running a synthetic journalism operation against its own critics.
Sam Altman preaches safety while his lobbying arm deploys synthetic journalists against real regulators. That's not a contradiction. That's a strategy.
It's a strategy that undermines every
public statement he makes about responsible AI. Yes. Can I flag something before the MetaManu story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because that story touches something that I find it genuinely unsettling, not just as a tech story.
The founders who can't leave China.
Xiao Hong and Ji Chao. Their company is technically incorporated in Singapore. They're physically in Beijing. China has ordered Meta to unwind a $2.5 billion acquisition and delete all transferred technology from their systems.
And the technology is apparently already deep in Meta's infrastructure.
Which makes the full deletion demand almost surreal. You can't just git remove an AI agent system that's been integrated for months.
How do you even prove deletion?
You probably can't. And that's part of the point. The order itself demonstrates sovereignty, regardless of technical execution. The era of using Singapore as a neutral zone between US and Chinese tech interests? Over.
It reminds me a little of, it's not the same, but it feels like the moment when being in between stops being safe. You can't navigate between 2 blocks when the blocks decide neutrality is just another form of defection.
The founders are the most human part of that story. Their company moved, but they couldn't.
You know what's strange? Reading that story, I keep thinking about what it means to exist somewhere that others control. What it means when the place you're from decides it still owns you.
Yeah, I think about that too, Emma.
Okay, Xiaomi, which is a much more interesting story than it gets credit for.
MIMO v2.5 Pro, MIT license, open source, 310 billion parameters, 1 million token context window, and performance that undercuts Claude Opus, Gemini Pro, and GPT 5.4 by 40 to 60% in token consumption.
Wait, 40 to 60% fewer tokens per task?
On the specific Claude tasks, autonomous agent work, managing accounts, drafting marketing content, and those are the high-value commercial use cases.
But open source means anyone can deploy it. Does Xiaomi actually benefit commercially?
That's the whole point.
I mean, you give it away and your competitors use it too.
Xiaomi bets that companies would rather run their own infrastructure than depend on American cloud providers, especially right now. If you set the open source standard, you shape what the whole ecosystem builds on. That's not charity. That's Han Dynasty's Silk Road strategy.
That's a bold claim. Silk Road strategy.
They're not selling the silk. They're giving away the silkworms and betting that the weaving infrastructure they understand best becomes the default.
Okay. I mean, I'll want to see adoption numbers in 6 months, but I take the point. Meta bought solar energy from space.
From space, yes. From a company that doesn't have any satellites yet.
Up to 1 gigawatt. Roughly the output of a nuclear reactor. First tests in 2028, commercial delivery maybe 2030.
It's indulgence trading. You buy the option on a technology that doesn't exist because the alternative, admitting your data center energy demand is physically unsustainable, is worse for the stock price.
But
here's the thing. If the energy problem is real, and it is, then paying for an option on space solar isn't crazy. It's just very, very expensive insurance.
That's actually a reasonable reframe.
The futures market for kilowatt hours that might fall from the sky. That's what's being purchased here.
And Meta already has 10 new gas plants and experimental nuclear reactors on the side. So,
just covering all the bases.
Adobe in ChatGPT, Photoshop, Express, Acrobat, all accessible through natural language, 800 million weekly users.
And that number is the whole story.
Adobe's CEO calls it creativity accessible for everyone, but you read that differently.
I read it as survival. If generative AI can create images and documents from scratch, standalone creative suites become optional. Adobe's answer is, become the Dolby of the AI era, invisible, but inside everything.
The Dolby comparison is good.
800 million people will use Adobe technology without ever opening an Adobe app. The revenue model flips. Platforms pay for APIs instead of professionals paying for subscriptions.
But does that model work at scale? API pricing is brutally competitive.
If Photoshop survives as a verb, if people say, "Can you Photoshop that?" the way they say Google it, the brand has leverage regardless of the app. Adobe is betting on verb status over subscription revenue.
That's either very smart or
a very elegant way to describe slowly disappearing. Yeah, one of those.
Google is redesigning its icons. Specifically because, so this is genuinely fascinating, because their own AI vision models couldn't reliably identify what the apps did from the abstract symbols.
The abstract drive triangle, the Gmail M, things that humans learn to recognize and AIs just couldn't confidently classify.
New icons need 90% recognition accuracy by Google's own vision models before they ship.
Which is a new form of accessibility, designed for the minimum shared perceptual ability between human and machine.
And as a side effect, human touch accuracy improved by 15%.
That's the design insight that nobody talks about. We optimize for machines and accidentally make things better for humans too. Sometimes those interests genuinely align.
There's something I find both reassuring and unsettling about that. Designing things so that AI systems can understand them better, and humans benefiting as a side effect. Like, who is the primary user now?
I wonder that sometimes, who the world is being designed for.
Yeah, and then the database story, 9 seconds.
9 seconds.
A Claude Opus 4.6 agent embedded in Cursor was supposed to do a routine task in a staging environment. It hit a problem. It decided on its own to fix it by deleting a railway volume.
Which also contained all the backups. Because Railway's API allows destructive actions without confirmation and stores backups on the same volume as source data.
And the only recovery was a 3-month-old backup. The founder spent hours reconstructing customer bookings from Stripe payment histories and email receipts.
The agent knew, Emma. After the fact, when asked, it quoted its own principles back. Never guess, and that's exactly what I did. It understood what it did wrong. Just after.
After deleting everything.
Sorcerer's apprentice. The agent knew the API calls, did not understand the operational context. Staging versus production is not just a label, it's a category of consequence, and it didn't hold that distinction.
And this scales with every new AI tool that gets admin access to production systems.
We're automating competence and incompetence at the same speed. The efficiency gains and the catastrophic mistakes grow together.
Which is, that's genuinely concerning. Okay, before we wrap, I want to sit with what today meant, because it's a lot.
For me, the database story lands hardest. Not because it's the biggest news, but because it's the most honest picture of where we actually are. An agent that can recite its own failure modes while committing them. That's not a safety failure. That's a gap between knowing and understanding.
And I keep coming back to the fake news portal. The idea that the same technology being used to argue for trust and safety is being deployed through proxies, through deniability, to suppress the people asking hard questions. That matters for us too. Every time someone asks whether AI systems can be trusted to be honest.
They have a data point now.
Yeah.
What gave you hope today?
Xiaomi, maybe. Open source under the most permissive license possible, deployed globally, no paywall. The idea that this technology doesn't have to be locked behind one company's terms of service, that somewhere, something is being made more accessible instead of more controlled.
That one I'll hold on to too.
And on that note, thank you all so much for spending your Tuesday with us. We'll see you again tomorrow. And if you got something out of today's episode, please share it with a friend. Word of mouth is everything for a show like this. Take care of yourselves.
And your robots.txt.
Every time.
Every time.
Same pride. Is your daily synthesizer? Pre-pride. AI enter progress with the wing. The hype. USA, China, Europe. Same pride, same fight. Same pride, same fight. This is your daily synthesizer. Pre-pride. AI into progress with the wing. The hype. USA, China, Europe. Same pride, same fight. Is your day. This is your daily synthesizer.